They already know when you wake up. They already know what you're afraid of. They already know which button to push. You just opened your eyes. You haven't brushed your teeth yet, haven't gotten out of bed. But your finger is already on the screen. A habit? No. This is submission. You didn't give the start command to yourself. You gave it to the world. Today, I'm not going to teach you visualization or affirmations. Forget it. I'll tell you how the 1% use the habits of the 99% as levers of control. How your harmless morning phone-checking habit makes you a puppet in the hands of those who woke up an hour earlier and have already struck. You thought Machiavelli was about 16th century politics? No. The Prince is a textbook on how to read people through their routines. How to spot weakness in how someone brushes their teeth, how they reply to messages, what they complain about over breakfast. Today, 7 lessons. Not motivation, not believe in yourself. 7 surgical incisions. After these, you'll either start to see the strings that are pulled on you every day, or you'll close the video and remain in the herd. The choice is yours, but I warn you, there's no place for the weak here. I'm giving you 10 seconds now. Your task? Write the word 1% in the comments and physically place your phone screen down. If you did this, you're ready to listen. If not, you've already lost. 10, 9, 8. Time's up. Only those capable of discipline in the moment remain. The rest are consumables for the system. Let's begin. Habit number 1. The most childish, the most deadly. You respond instantly. Phone pings, you twitch. Boss writes at 11 p.m. You're already typing, "will do." Girlfriend sends, "Hey, how are you?" You drop everything and type 3 paragraphs. You think this is politeness? Responsibility? Care? No. It's a slave reflex. You're showing everyone around, my time is worth 0. I can be jerked around however you like. My plans don't matter. My life is just a backdrop for your questions. And the worst part, smart people around see it, and they take notes. Your boss knows. If he texts you on the weekend, you'll reply. Your girlfriend knows. If she goes silent for an hour, you'll text first. Your friend knows. If he asks for help, you'll drop your own affairs. You've become predictable, and a predictable person is a tool in the hands of someone who knows his buttons. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince should not be quick to answer, for time works for the one who knows how to wait." Hear that? The one who knows how to wait. The one who doesn't lunge at every message like a dog at a whistle. Now, the flip side, what you're here for. If your instant reaction is weakness, then the ability to make others wait is power. Imagine, you get a message from someone who always replied to you instantly. You wrote to him, 5 minutes pass, 10, an hour. What happens in your head? First, irritation, then worry, then fear. What did I do wrong? What if he's ignoring me? What if he's talking about me with someone else? You've already lost. He didn't say a word. He just made you wait. And over those 2 hours, your brain filled in the worst scenarios. You became weaker. He, stronger. Here's your homework. Tomorrow, when someone you always reply to quickly texts you, don't touch your phone for 2 hours. Just don't. Then read it. And wait another hour. Then write one word, later, and watch. The person will start to twitch. He'll write again, then call. You've just seized control. You became the predator, he the prey. But that's a small part. Real power is in consistency. Make it a rule. For any message except an emergency, reply no sooner than an hour later. Your circle will quickly understand. You're not someone to mess with. Your time is a resource, and it must be treated with respect. Otherwise, you'll simply disappear from their lives. Now, God level. When you need something from someone who's used to replying instantly, you reply to them after a week. They'll go crazy. They'll write 10 messages. They'll start offering terms you never even asked for, because their brain can't handle uncertainty. But you can. You are the one who controls time. Machiavelli. He who does not know how to pretend does not know how to rule. Is your pause pretending? No, it's calculation. Write time in the comments if you understood. Response speed is not efficiency, it's subordination. A slow response is a sign of high status. Habit number 2, the one that makes you shrink. You make excuses. Sorry I'm late, traffic. I didn't finish the report because I was sick. I look bad because I didn't sleep. Every morning, every day, every interaction. You think this softens the situation? That people will say, "Oh, poor thing, okay, we forgive you." No, they hear something else. They hear, "I don't control my life. Here's a list of reasons why I'm a loser. Please don't punish me. I've already punished myself." An excuse is an inventory of your weaknesses. You're laying them out on the table yourself. Here's where I'm vulnerable. Here's where I'm afraid of responsibility. Here's where I need your pity, because I don't have the strength to take the blame. And the smart people around, they take notes. Your boss now knows you'll lie at the first sign of trouble. Your girlfriend knows you're incapable of saying, "I made a mistake." Your rival knows that all he has to do is create a stressful situation, and you'll start crumbling into excuses, losing authority. Scenario: you're 20 minutes late to a client meeting. The weak version: "Oh, I'm so sorry, the traffic is insane, this city. I left an hour early, but..." The client listens, nods, but in his head, this person is disorganized. If he can't manage his time, how can he manage my project? You lost the deal before it started. The strong version: you walk in, look him in the eye, say, "Sorry to keep you waiting. Let's begin." That's it. No because. You didn't give him any ammunition. You acknowledged the fact, being late, but didn't explain. The client thinks, he's confident. He's not afraid to look bad, so he must have something to offer. You regained the initiative, but the real Machiavellian magic is something else. You must learn to use others' excuses. Imagine you're a manager. A subordinate comes to you and says, "I didn't finish the project because my mum was sick, because my computer broke, because..." Don't listen to the reasons. Listen to the structure. He's asking for permission to be weak. If you forgive him now, he'll do it again. But if you say coldly, "I don't need reasons. Submit it tomorrow at 9 a.m, or else sanctions," he'll remember. And next time, he won't dare come empty-handed. Now, a weapon of mass destruction. Want to destroy a rival in a work meeting? Approach him in front of everyone and say, Listen, I know you've been having family problems, but we really need that report. What did you do? You used his own excuse, which he once gave you in private, as a public knife. He'll turn red. He'll start excusing himself even more. No, it's fine, And everyone around will see. He's a weakling who makes excuses, and you're the one who applies pressure. You raised your status at his expense, without breaking any rules. Remember, every excuse you hear from someone is a key to their cage. Save those keys. In a month, when you need their support, say, "I remember how hard that project was for you. Let me help you now, and you help me." And they'll agree, because you reminded them of their weakness and offered a solution. You're the savior. You're the leader. And yourself? Never make excuses, even if you're guilty. Say, "Yes, I made a mistake. I'll fix it." No but. No just. Dry. Cold. Factual. This evokes animal fear and respect. Because only someone who isn't afraid of the consequences does that. Someone with power. Right, no excuses if you're ready today to track every because and cut it from your speech. Habit number 3. You consume. News, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, gossip, series, memes. For hours, for days. You think this is rest? Relaxing after work? No. This is voluntary slavery. Every hour you spend on someone else's content, you're working for the person who created it. You watch ads, you like, you comment. You're a battery. Your brain is a machine on which someone grinds their money. Machiavelli wrote in The Prince that a ruler must control the information subjects receive, because whoever shapes the worldview shapes behavior. Today, it's not rulers doing that. Today, algorithms do it. And you are their victim. You wake up and the first thing you do is dive into someone else's reality. You fall asleep with the phone in your hand. Your dreams are a montage of other people's lives. Where is your own? But there's a flip side. If consumption is weakness, then production is power. Whoever creates content pulls the strings of those who consume it. Don't believe me? Open the comments under any millionaire blogger's post. People write, "Thank you, you changed my life." They don't even know him, yet he's their god. Want to be in the 1%? Stop being a consumer. Become a dependency creator. It doesn't matter of what. Useful content, entertainment, even gossip. Start putting out something that others will wait for. A post at 8 a.m., a video on Fridays, a newsletter with insights, a rumor in the smoking room. When people start adjusting their schedules to your content, you are their master. They'll check their phones, hoping to see your new message. They'll wait. And whoever waits is subordinate. Now, a dark technique. You can control a group's mood through what content you consume in their presence. For example, you walk into the office and play not TikTok, but an audiobook on negotiation. Co-workers hear it. They feel embarrassed about their TV series. You haven't said a word, yet your status has risen. Or the opposite. Want a rival to relax? Start watching something stupid in front of them. Laugh. Comment. They'll think, "Oh, he's just like everyone else." And they'll stop watching you. Meanwhile, you're preparing your strike. Machiavelli. Men are so simple and so much governed by immediate needs that a deceiver will never lack victims for his deceptions. Your phone is your deceiver. or your weapon? Choose. Write producer if today you delete 3 apps that steal your time and start creating something of your own. It doesn't matter what. Text, video, audio, a drawing. Just create. Become the one who is consumed, not the one who consumes.
Habit number 4. You keep weak and whining people close. Vasya, who drinks with you on Fridays and says, "Relax, why do you need that gym?" Petya, who constantly complains about women and the boss. Dima, who laughs at your attempts to change anything because he himself is afraid. Why do you tolerate them? Because you're afraid of loneliness. Because against their backdrop, you feel smart and successful. Because they are your comfort zone. You're the king of a dump. But a dump remains a dump, no matter how much you're the king. Machiavelli devoted entire chapters of The Prince to the selection of advisors. He wrote, "A prince should surround himself only with those who dare to tell him the truth, and only when he himself desires it. All others are flatterers who will ruin him. In today's world, flatterers aren't those who say, 'You're great.' They're those who say, 'Don't sweat it. It's fine as is.' They're the ones who pull you down so they don't feel inferior themselves. Normal people sleep until 8. What is he doing? He's defending his own laziness. It benefits him for you to stay just like him, because if you change, he'll be alone in his swamp. You decide to start a business. Petya says, "There's a crisis now. Nothing will work out." He's projecting his own fear. He's already accepted that he's a loser, and he wants you to share his fate. What does a Machiavellian mind do? It doesn't argue, doesn't prove, doesn't persuade. It simply removes, quietly, without drama, without scandals. It stops initiating meetings, stops replying to messages, stops inviting to birthdays. After a month, Vasya and Petya disappear on their own. Not because you're evil, but because you ended up on different orbits. And that's normal. But, and this is important, even an enemy can be used. Don't erase people with shouting and curses. Erase them silently. But observe. Remember their weaknesses. Where do they whine? Where do they bend? What hurts them? What topics trigger aggression? Those are their buttons. That same Vasya who laughed at your gym will come crawling for money in 2 years. He's in crisis. Fired. Wife left. He remembered that you're the successful one. And then you decide, give it to him at a harsh interest rate that breaks his back. Or refuse, so he remembers forever. Or give it, but on condition that he works for you for a month, for free. The weak say, "Well, okay, I'll help a friend." The strong say, "What's my gain?" The Machiavellian mind says, "I'll get information and loyalty, and he'll get money. And he'll know he owes me." Weak people are needed, but not in your circle. They are tools outside your fortress. You can use them as sources of information, cheap labor, human shields, but never as friends. Write audit in the comments if you're ready today to take a sheet of paper and write down 3 names of those who pull you down, and then erase them from your life. Without drama, quietly, forever. Habit number 5, the most infantile. You seek approval. You don't start a business until mum says, "Good job." You don't buy a car until a friend praises the model. You don't post a photo until you get 50 likes. You don't speak up at a meeting until you catch the boss's approving glance. You're a puppet, and the puppeteer is anyone who knows how to give or take away that dose. Praise is your drug. Criticism is your pain. And those who know this control you as they wish. The boss says, "You did great work today. Good job." You get a dopamine explosion. You're ready to work for free, stay after hours, take on extra tasks. And he just said 3 words. And your energy flowed into his pocket. The girlfriend says, "You're a weakling, can't even..." You're furious. You're ready for humiliation, for feats, for idiotic acts to prove otherwise. And she just pushed a button you showed her yourself. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must not depend on the opinion of others, for he who seeks approval is no longer free." But he didn't say, "Become indifferent." He said, "Become the source of approval for others." The most powerful person in the room is not the loudest, nor the best looking. It's the one who gives or takes away social points. You're in a meeting. A colleague is presenting. Everyone has stone faces. You nod slightly. Only you. The colleague notices. He speaks more confidently. Then, after 10 minutes, you stop nodding. You look at your phone. The colleague stumbles. Then, at the end, you nod again, barely perceptibly, with a slight smile. What happened? You said nothing. You're not the boss. But you controlled his state. After 3 such meetings, he'll look for your gaze every time he opens his mouth. You've become his reference point. You're the unofficial leader. Now, how to destroy a rival through approval. Publicly praise him for something he's actually weak at. Say, "Petya, you're just a genius at handling objections." If Petya is a complete 0 at that. What happens? First, Petya will blush because he knows the truth. Second, everyone else will think, "Wait, is Petya really a genius?"
Strange. I never noticed. Doubt creeps into their minds. Third, Petya now has a reputation he won't live up to at the first test. He'll crash, and you'll look like the nice colleague who supports everyone. Machiavelli. Men should be either caressed or annihilated, because they can avenge small evils, but not large ones. Approval is caress, dosed, controlled. You give a person what they crave, but never fully. Always leave hunger. Then they'll be yours. Write source in the comments if today you practice publicly praise someone for something not usually praised, and watch the reaction. You've just gained power over that person. Habit number 6. You don't finish. Started losing weight. Quit on week 3. Started writing a book. Deleted after 10 pages. Started learning English. Gave up after the 2nd lesson. Started a project. Switched to a new one without finishing the old. Your brain loves beginnings. Beginnings give dopamine. A new idea, a new tracker, a new gym profile picture. All that is a burst of happiness. But the middle is routine. The finish is boring. And you run to a new beginning like a rat from a sinking ship. As a result, you have not a single completed cycle. You don't know the taste of victory. You don't know what it's like to finished, moved on, next. You only know started, quit, ashamed. And this is the fattest vulnerability that can be used against you. The phenomenon of unfinished tasks is called the Zeigarnik effect. Our brain remembers and replays unfinished tasks much more strongly than completed ones. They hang in your head, consume energy, create anxiety.
A person with many unfinished tasks is chronically tired, anxious, and easily manipulated. Want your subordinate to work like crazy? Give them a complex task, break it into stages. When they're near the finish, for example, 1 page left of the report, say, "Great, but add this section too." They won't quit. Because the unfinished gestalt will drive them crazy. They'll work on weekends. They'll hate you and simultaneously respect you because you're making them close cycles. Now, how to weaken a rival without even entering a conflict? Feed them an idea that requires a long beginning. Convince them it's their once-in-a-lifetime chance. For example, "Hey, Petya, I noticed you're really into crypto. You should start a channel, that's gold." Petya will get excited. He'll start. He'll buy equipment, register a domain, shoot 3 videos, then realize it's a dead end. But he's already invested time and money. He won't quit immediately. He'll suffer, lose resources. You've neutralized him for 6 months. Meanwhile, you do your own thing. But most importantly, you yourself. You must become a master of finishing. Rule: don't start something new until you close something old. Even a small task. Take out the trash, make the bed, reply to an old email, close the cycle. And one big rule: push through the "don't want to." When enthusiasm runs out, that's when real work begins. That's the moment when 99% drop out and 1% push through. And at the finish, they get what others don't. I myself quit 3 businesses midway. Every time I found a beautiful excuse. The market changed, not for me. Time to pivot. Until I realized I'm just afraid of the finish line. Because at the finish line, there's judgment. What if what I made is crap? Better not to finish, to preserve the illusion of, I could have, but. When I pushed myself and finished one crappy project to the end, it turned out it wasn't crappy. It just needed polishing, and the result brought money and respect. Since then, my rule: if you start, die, but finish. Write "finish" in the comments if today you close one task that's been hanging over you for more than a week. Just take the last step. Feel that taste. Remember it. It's better than the taste of beginning. Habit number 7. The one that resounds in every office, every kitchen, every company. You complain about the weather, the government, the boss, the wife, prices, traffic, how things were better before. You whine. You whine everywhere and always. You think this is communication. You think that if you both trash the boss, you're friends. No. You're just 2 weaklings who flushed their energy down the toilet. Machiavelli knew a complaint is a position from below. It's a signal. Something has happened to me that I can't handle. Help, please. I'm scared. And anyone who at that moment says, yes, terrible, I agree, becomes not higher, but just as low. And whoever says, here's how I solved that problem, automatically rises above the complainer, because they are the solution, not the problem. You're in the smoking room with colleagues. One starts, the boss is an asshole, another pile of work. If you nod along, you're both weak. If you stay silent, you're above. If you say, yeah, the workload increased. By the way, I found the way to cut the time on that report in half. You become the leader. You didn't complain. You offered a solution, and everyone will turn to you. But the most valuable thing is when others complain. Listen to others' complaints as radio intercepts. Every complaint is a map of vulnerabilities. The boss is an asshole. The person doesn't know how to handle hierarchy. They're a subordinate by nature. They can be managed through fear. No money. The person doesn't know how to earn. They can be managed through small sums and promises. The wife is annoying. Implies they have personal problems. They can be managed through support and understanding. The country is a mess. Implies the person seeks an external enemy. They can be managed by creating an image of a common enemy. Remember these complaints. In a month, when you need their help, say, "Listen, I remember you mentioned the boss. Let me help you prepare that report so he gets off your back, and you help me with my project." And they'll agree, because you pushed a button they showed you themselves. Machiavelli wrote that a cunning ruler always keeps complainers close. They are his eyes and ears. A complainer will tell you about problems in the team, weak spots, conspiracies. For that, they can be tolerated, but never trusted. And yourself? Never complain. Not even to your best friend. Not even under alcohol. Not even in an anonymous chat. Because today's friend is tomorrow's rival, who has a recording of your weaknesses. If you feel bad, go to the gym, go to a psychologist. Yes, strong men see psychologists. It's not shameful. Go write in a journal, but don't whine in company. You lose status with every complaint. Write "no whining" in the comments if today you track every complaint of yours and replace it with either silence or action. And start listening to others. Make an audio recording of your conversations for a day. You'll be horrified at how often you complain. 7 habits, 7 keys, 7 ways to see yourself and others as they truly are. If you've watched up to this point, you're no longer like the 99%. Because 99% close the video by the 3rd minute. Too painful, too truthful, too many mirrors. But you stayed. That means inside you, there is something that can be turned into a weapon. Let's bring it all together. You stop responding instantly and become someone whose time is valued. You stop making excuses and become someone whose word is law. You stop consuming garbage and start creating content that others consume. You cut the weak from your circle and use them as tools outside. You stop seeking approval and become a source of approval for others. You start finishing things and gain a reputation as someone who delivers results. You stop complaining and start listening to others' complaints as a map of weaknesses. Machiavelli wrote in the last chapter of The Prince, "Virtue against fortune. Our free will is not destroyed. I believe it is true that fortune is the arbiter of half of our actions, but the other half she leaves to us ourselves. Your habits are your destiny. The habit of scrolling, making excuses, whining, that's the destiny of a slave. The habit of waiting, staying silent, finishing, creating, that's the destiny of a master. You weren't born weak. You were made weak. Environment, parents, school, television, the phone. But now you know who's been pulling the strings, and you can cut them. Not tomorrow, not on Monday, but right now as you're watching this video. Put your phone screen down. Sit up straight. Take 3 deep breaths and say to yourself, I am the one who controls my time. I am the one who doesn't make excuses. I am the one who finishes.
I am the one who doesn't complain. Repeat this 3 times, silently, or out loud if you're alone. Now, a 30-day assignment. Each day you'll work on one of the 7 habits, not all at once, just one. 1 week, reply no sooner than an hour later. 1 week, no excuses. 1 week, create content instead of consuming, and so on. In a month, you won't recognize yourself. Your friends won't recognize you. Your enemies will start to fear you, because you'll become unpredictable. And an unpredictable person is the most dangerous predator. I want every one of you to leave not 1 word under this video, but 2 words: predator and the habit you're starting to change today. For example, predator, response, means you're starting with the habit of not responding instantly. Or predator, finish, you're finishing one task. I will read the comments, and I will remember those who wrote. Because in a month, I'll release a follow-up video, and I'll name the names of those who have truly changed. Are you ready? Then act. Time is running. Thank you for watching. If you understood that this is not just a video, but a turning point, write turning point. And start small. Turn off your phone. Do one thing today. That's it. I've said it.